Language for specific purposes and academic language learning. Language for specific purposes. Language for specific purposes focuses on teaching a language with a particular context in mind, such as business, law, medicine, or any specialized field. It aims to meet the specific needs of learners who require the language for particular functions or tasks related to their field. The development of LSP program is driven by a needs analysis which involves identifying the precise language requirements of the learners. This process includes assessing the current language proficiency, understanding the language demands of the specific context, and determining the skills and knowledge they need to function effectively. The outcome of this analysis guide the creation of tailored curricula and materials that address those specific needs, ensuring that language instruction is relevant and practical for the learner's goals. LSP is widely applied approach to second or foreign language teaching and training that addresses immediate and very specific needs of learners who need that language as a tool in their education, training, or job. Need analysis is underlying driver for the development of LSP programs. Characteristics. Stevens defined LSP, language for specific purpose, and ESP, English for specific purpose, by their absolute characteristics. Absolute characteristics. It is defined to meet specific needs of the learner. LSP or ESP courses are tailored to address the precise language needs of learners who are focusing on particular professional, academic, or occasional areas. This means that course content and objectives are designed to be directly relevant to the learner's goal and context. It makes use of the underlying methodology and activities of the discipline it serves. Using discipline-specific methodology and activities. The teaching approaches and activities in LSP or ESP are aligned with the methodologies and practice typical of the specific discipline. This ensures that learners engage in relevant context specific tasks that reflect the real-world use of language in their field. Focusing on relevant language components, the instruction concentrates on language aspects that are essential for the discipline, including grammar, the structural rules of grammar used in specific context, lexis, the vocabulary and terminology pertinent to the field, register, the style and tone of language appropriate for the discipline, skills, the specific language skills, example reading, writing, speaking needed in the field, discourse, the way in which communication is organized and structured, genres, the type of text and communication formats typical of the field. These absolute characteristics ensure that LSP or ESP courses are focused, relevant, and practical for learners' specific language needs. It's centered on the language, grammar, lexis, register, skills, discourse, and genres appropriate to these activities. Variable characteristics. It may be related to or design specific disciplines. ESP courses are tailored to the needs of learners in particular field of profession such as business, medicine, or engineering. The content is designed to be relevant and applicable to the specific terminology, context, and practices of these disciplines. It is used in specific teaching situations. These courses are often implemented in context where learners need to acquire language skills pertinent to their professional or academic needs. This can include workplace training, specialized academic programs, or professional development. It is likely to be designed for adult learners either at a tertiary level institution or in a professional work situation. ESP courses are commonly aimed at adults, including those enrolled in tertiary education institutions or engaged in professional roles. The content is typically advanced and assumes a certain level of existing knowledge and experience. It is generally designed for intermediate or advanced studies. Although ESP courses can cater to beginners, they are generally designed for learners who already have a foundational understanding of the language and are looking to refine the skills for specific purpose. Most ESP courses assume some basic knowledge of the language system, but it can be used with beginners. While ESP courses often assume learners have a basic grasp of the language, they can be adapted to suit beginners by providing foundational language support alongside the specialized content. ESP didactics. The teaching of English for specific purposes focusing on language tailored to particular professional or academic needs. English for specific purposes. A branch of English language teaching that focuses on teaching English tailored to specific disciplines or professions. English language teaching. The practice of teaching English to non-native speakers encompassing various methods and approaches. Second language acquisition SLA. The process and study of learning a language other than one's native language. Second language acquisition. Interlanguage development. The evolving linguistic system that learners create while acquiring a second language which is influenced by the native language and the exposure to the new language. Noticing hypothesis. A theory by Richard Sachsmith suggesting that learners must consciously notice language features to acquire them. Interaction hypothesis. Proposed by Michael Long, this theory posits that language is best acquired through interactive communication where learners negotiate meaning. Discourse domain hypothesis suggests that language learning is influenced by the specific discourse domains, context in which language use occurs. Methodological principles. Guidelines or strategies used in language teaching to facilitate effective learning. Next, ESP, English for specific purpose. Task-based teaching. An approach where language learning is organized around tasks that learners need to complete using the target language. Discourse community. A group of people who share a common language, knowledge and goals within a specific field or profession. Disciplinary content. Subject matter related to specific fields or disciplines that learners need to understand and use in their language learning. Specialized language. Language used in specific fields or professions often requiring specialized vocabulary and structures. English language teaching. Methods. Various approaches and techniques used in language teaching to achieve educational goals. Learning theories. Framework that explain how people acquire, process and retain knowledge and skills. Teacher and learner roles. The different responsibilities and interactions of teachers and learners in the educational process. Task based teaching. An approach where language learning is organized around tasks that learners need to complete using the target language. Different types of ESP or LSP. David Carter identifies three types of ESP or LSP. English as a restricted language. This refers to English used in specialized context where the language is restricted or specialized, such as in technical manuals, legal documents, or medical journals. The focus here is on precise and specialized vocabulary and structures relevant to specific fields. Next, English for academic and occupational purpose. This type of ESP or LSP focuses on English language skills needed for academic study or professional settings. It includes preparing students for academic writings, research and presentations in English, as well as English language skills necessary for specific occupations or professions. English with specific topics. This type involves teaching English related to specific topics or content areas such as English for engineering, English for tourism, or English for finance. The emphasis is on integrating language learning with subject matter knowledge and skills relevant to a particular field or discipline. Each type of ESP or LSP aim to equip learners with language proficiency and competence tailored to their specific needs and context, ensuring practical application and effectiveness in real-world situations. Different types of ESP or LSP. English as a restricted language. The language used by air traffic controllers or by waiters are examples of language as restricted language. Air traffic control English, a simplified standard form of English used globally by air traffic controllers to ensure clear and precise communication to avoid misunderstandings and ensure safety. English for waiters, a specific set of vocabulary and phrases used by waiters to communicate effectively with customers in the hospitality industry. Next, English for academic and occupational purposes. It broken into three branches. English for science and technology. It focuses on the language skills needed for academic and professional activities in the fields of science and technology. This includes understanding technical terms and contents, writing research papers, and engaging in scientific discussions. English for business and economics. It covers the language used in business and economic context. It includes skills for writing reports, understanding business jargon, and participating in business negotiations and presentations. English for social science. It deals with language skills required for the study and discussion of social sciences such as sociology, psychology, and anthropology. This includes understanding and using terminology specific to these fields and engaging in academic discourse. Next, English for academic purpose. Focuses on the language and skills needed for academic study and research. It helps students develop proficiency in reading academic text, writing essays and research papers, and participating in academic discussions. English for occupational purpose. Emphasizes language skills required for specific professions and workplaces. It helps individuals communicate effectively in their professional roles, whether through writing reports, giving presentations, or engaging in professional conversations. Academic Language teaching. Academic language teaching focuses on helping students develop proficiency in the language necessary for academic successes. This includes both understanding and producing the language used in education settings such as oral language, written language, auditory language, visual language. Oral language, speaking and listening skills used in discussion, presentation, and classroom interactions. Written language, reading and writing skills required for understanding text and completing assignments. Auditory language, comprehending spoken instruction, lectures, and other auditory informations. Visual language, interpreting and using visual aid, graphs, chart, and other visual presentations of information. Academic language refers to the oral, written, auditory, and visual proficiency required to learn effectively in school and academic programs. That is, it's language used in classroom, lessons, books, tests, and assignments. As it's the language that students are expected to learn and achieve fluency in. Academic language teaching refers to teaching the academic language, that is, school language. Academic language tips. Teach one word at a time in an explicit direct instruction format. Focus on teaching individual academic vocabulary words in detail. This method involves breaking down the words' use, meaning, usage, and context explicitly. For example, if we teach the word analyze, we would explain its meaning, provide examples of its use, and practice it in different contexts. Equip students with sentence frames they can use for discussion, writing, and collaboration. Provide students with structured sentence starters or templates to help them use academic language effectively. For instance, sentence frames like, in my opinion, because, or the author suggests, in order to, can support students in articulating their thoughts clearly during discussion or writing assignments. Integrate academic language into your daily practice through content areas. Incorporate academic vocabulary and language skills across different subjects and lessons. For example, if teaching a science lesson, use relevant academic terms and encourage students to apply them in the explanations and discussions. This approach helps reinforce language skills in context. Next, make a wall of academic language words. Create a visual display in the classroom featuring academic vocabulary words. This wall can include definitions, example sentences, and visual aids. It serves as a constant reference for students and reinforces their understanding of the vocabulary. Next, make a journal of academic language words. Have students maintain a personal journal where they record new academic words, their meanings, and examples of how they are used. This practice helps students actively engage with an internalized academic language, making it easier for them to recall and apply it in their work.